is a fantastic Tuesday morning, the 24th of February 2026. The time is clocked 13 minutes past the hour of 10 o'clock. Greetings to you, the lovely GIC viewers and listeners within and beyond the borders of the Republic of Namibia. And a very warm welcome to your Tuesday morning edition of the Public Enterprises Information Sharing Session. As always, we are coming to you live and direct from the Government Information Center studio here in the heart of the nation's capital, Windhoek. For this morning's session, I will be your host. My name is Heleni Philippus Hamunyela, and together or alongside my studio guests, we will be keeping you company for the next 40 minutes or so. But as is the norm, before I can officially welcome my studio guests for this morning, I'd like to pause here and extend a warm invitation to you, Namibia, to be part of this discussion by following this conversation on our social media platforms, where we are currently streaming this show live. Now on Facebook, we are at the Government Information Center, the GIC, or you can stream us live on our YouTube channel, and our handle there is the Government Information Center, GIC Namibia. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this morning we are tackling the we are actually having NAMPOST here in the building, and I'll be speaking to Mr. Benny Jacobs. He is the retail channel for NAMPOST Namibia Limited, and we are discussing the transition of social grant and distribution, and he's here to just shed more light on that. Mr. Jacobs, good morning once again, and welcome to the Government Information Center.
Morning, Eleni.
It's a pleasure to have you on board this morning.
It's my pleasure to be here as well.
All right. Now, for the benefit of our viewers and listeners who aren't quite familiar with the mandate of NAMPOST Limited, briefly talk to us or give us a brief outline of what the mandate of NAMPOST is and how it then links to the responsibility of distributing social grants.
Okay, Helene, NAMPOST is established by an Act of Parliament. That's the Post and Telecommunication Act of 1992. That act mandates NAMPOST to offer postal services, savings bank services, and money transfer services. But the Act further goes and give NAMPOST a mandate to offer agency services, that third-party services, because of the nature of our infrastructure, whereby we partner with organizations to avail our infrastructure for those organizations to offer their products and services. But most importantly, that the mandate also say we must offer all these services at a commercial basis, meaning at a profitable basis. Yes, yeah.
All right. Thank you so much for that overview of what NAMPOST mandate is. We truly highly appreciate that information. I'm sure my viewers and listeners are now quite acquainted with what it is that we'll be discussing this morning. Now, turning to a recent development that has drawn the nation's attention, NAMPOST has officially taken over distribution of social grants from 1st of October 2025, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it was supposed to be 1st of October, but we started, in fact, in September.
Okay, all right. So can you please explain to us the operational modalities that NAMPOST has put in place to ensure the smooth transition, but also distribution of social cash grants to the beneficiaries across the country?
Across the country. Okay, our approach, our modus operandi is what we refer to as a hybrid model.
Okay.
That entails that we offer our branches. I mean, we have over 150 branches at the moment across the country. And then we have also a mobile team that visits 900 pay points. Those pay points, Helene, they are pay points that are established by government. That's not NAMPOST deciding, it's government. So, and those pay points in the rural areas still exist, and NAMPOST visits those pay points with their mobile teams. This is now across the country through all our political regions and constituencies. So it's people must understand that it's a hybrid model where we have our fixed points, which is our branches, and then where we visit the mobile points in the rural areas with our mobile teams. Yes, we do have mobile teams, meaning cars that have a dedicated program from we start normally from the beginning of the month up to the 25th to the 28th of each month. Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
And of course, the schedules has already been shared. It is already known to the beneficiaries when NAMPOST is expected.
Yes, Eleni, one must be very cautious when it comes to the program because there are some security risk around that. So what we do, we announce the schedule every day. Every morning, our internal comms team, together with selected team members, they go on radio on every radio station, and only on all the vernaculars we are on those radio stations, and we normally announce the program 2 days in advance. So we because of the security nature of, we safeguard that program, not to announce that program in advance. You will also appreciate the security risk around that. Yes, but we do on a daily basis. I mean, you will hear Tate Marius Nangolo, you will hear Gerard Nautoro, you will hear Joseph. Joseph is our internal comms person. You will hear Janet and Ellen. Ellen is always on Damaranama. Or what is the new name? I mean, the things have changed. K Sames. Yeah, K Sames. Yeah. So we are daily on radio, and I must say also on our social platforms, because the young ones, they follow the social platforms and they do advise the elderly at home, and it works, yes.
Absolutely. Now, thank you so much, Mr. Jacobs, for that information. Now, alongside accessibility, you briefly touched on security. Maybe if you can just now focus on, because security remains a critical one, right?
Yes.
Around the cash payments is always a concern.
Yes,
and it's always a concern you've earlier mentioned. What measures has NAMPOST put in place to ensure that beneficiaries are safe when collecting their money, especially in rural areas?
Our first priority, as you rightly put it, Helene, is to safeguard people's lives before we talk about properties and resources. So yes, we have partners with a capable security company. That's our partner. That is, and our cars are also security intact. If you know, they are well set up. They are well set up. You know, Eleni, when it comes to security, you don't want to go into detail.
Absolutely
but really, from that is our priority, is to safeguard our beneficiaries, to safeguard our employees, and to safeguard the employees of our partners. So yes, we do follow a very strict security protocol and framework when it comes to the aspect of security.
All right. Yeah. Okay, let's leave that there. Right. Now, accessibility has been one of a major concern as well. It's been raised across the social medias, and beneficiaries in remote areas often worry about access. Accessing NAMPO's that date, because it's anticipated. They are always listening on, whether now on radio or on they always have ears on the ground, right? Now, how will NAMPOST make sure that people living far from branches will of course not miss out? They will still be able to receive their grants on time.
Lenesa earlier alluded to. I mean, before we started with the social grant program, our branch network was around 130 branches. We are now at 150 branches, and we are expanding. Okay, that's one, because the modality is that people who are in a 5-kilometer radius around an urban area, which is what we call towns, or around any village or town where NAMPOST is, those people, they are always encouraged to go to the post office, because our mobile teams only goes beyond the 5-kilometer radius. So, beneficiaries who are in remote areas shouldn't worry, because we are following the same program like the previous service provider, because that program is set by government. The mobile points are set obviously through...
They are already existing.
So it's set by government. It's not NAMPOS who decides. It's government who say, there is a need, there are beneficiaries, we should go there. So we follow that program to the letter. So, and we announce, so beneficiaries must just listen to their radio station. The young ones, please follow us on our social platforms and please relay the message to our elders. Yeah. So in terms of accessibility, it's actually my job to ensure that, that our services are accessible. And thus far, 150 post offices. If you take on average, a post office have 2 counters, so it's over 300 counters. I mean, you have over 17 mobile vehicles, and each mobile vehicle have 2 dispensers. So for now, I think we are okay, but we are continuing, assessing. We are continuing, listening to our principals, listening to our beneficiaries, and so we improve. I mean, it's a work in progress. Absolutely. I think we are getting there, but there's still a few things that we should iron out, but we are getting there.
All right. I love that you've clearly put it. It's a work in progress, right? We need to improvise on systems and practices that if something is not working, of course, we do away with that, and we take up whatever it is that is going to be working.
Yeah, Eleni, on that, I mean, the one thing that our beneficiaries are worried about is the time spent in the queues. Yes, we understand. That's why we test our system that the transaction in the branches should be below a minute. The transaction. We test that speed, and we have a dashboard. If we go beyond a minute, then we interrogate what went wrong. But our target is that the transaction is below 1 minute, because the most important thing is to get people out of the queue and out of the branch. That's our aim. That's why our system performance is under a minute. Yes, unless it's an act of God in terms of there is rain, or unless it's electricity that is off. Yes, that is beyond
technical circumstances.
Yes, but what we are doing currently is we are pushing our system so that that transaction can happen below a minute, so that we can clear the queues.
I really am drawn to that, because that is speaking to your customer service charter, right?
Sure,
the promises that you've made to your customers, and you are delivering on that.
Yes.
Indeed, we are. It's a commendable job that you are doing, and we appreciate the efforts that you are doing. But it's a learning curve, you said.
It is, because at the beginning it was chaotic. We take cognizance of that.
Right.
But thanks to the comms team, what we really encourage our beneficiaries that stick to the in-branch program, because Eleni, obviously you can't pay everybody all at once. So what we are saying is we have a structured program. The first 3 days is for the old age and the disabled, followed by another 3 days for the children's grant, and then the last 2 days followed by the conditional basic income grant. So, and especially the young ones, the conditional basic income grants, likes to come in the first day and they disturb that program. So what we are saying is that, no, please stick to the program. So the other parameter that we put into the system is that the system is blocked.
Right.
The first 3 days is only for disability and for old age.
And not
if
basic
a basic income grant, you won't be paid.
Right.
And just to inculcate that discipline and to bring order in the program. And February was approved. That's why you couldn't pick up commotion.
Right.
And we thank the beneficiaries also that they adhere to the program. So they stick to the program, and then there won't be any problem.
Absolutely. Because every house has rules, and that needs to be adhered to.
Sure.
Right. Thank you so much, Mr. Jacobs. Now, beyond safety and logistics, of course, clarity around registration is equally important. And fundamental importance, right? Can you tell us more about the registration process? Where does it happen? I know that you are just paying out. We, the nation, also would like clarity whether they must now come register at NAMPOST for this income grants or pensioner grants or whatever it is. Briefly, if you can perhaps talk to us about that.
Yeah, Eleni, the mandate of the cash grant is still governments. We are just an agent. We are just an implementing agent. So the application, I mean, if you turn 60, that is still with the government, still with the government. So that process continues with the government. So you go, or if you want to change your pay point, you want to get your grant through the bank, that is still with government. Ours is to the disbursement of the grant. But what the ministry at times expect of us as part of our SLA, we should go through a proof of life process. So through that process where we have to re-register all beneficiaries. That's why we say that if you're a procurator, the beneficiary must come with you to the branch and then we register you. So that interval do take place. We had one, so that interval, and if we need to re-register the beneficiaries as per the instruction of the ministry, because you know there are times ghost beneficiaries, all the system, the database must be clear so that the database can be integral. So then we announce to our beneficiaries to come to the, basically what you need is your all acceptable identity documents. But that process, as we just do re-registration for proof of life. The other process of applying for a grant, you still go to the ministry.
Thank you so much. Now, again, because we are saying that this is really for the benefit of our viewers and listeners, and these are your stakeholders, right? And now we want to find out what are the documentations that are required from the beneficiaries when they come for re-registration, as you've clearly alluded to in the beginning, and how about those, or how will those that are in rural areas be assisted?
Okay, as I said, in terms of identification, your Namibian ID, your Namibian ID or passport, at times if we can't identify, that's one thing. If we can't identify a beneficiary, we always refer them to the ministry. So we say refer and pay. So you refer the beneficiary. If there is, sometimes the ID is torn apart or if the ID is old, we don't pay if we can't identify you. We refer you to the ministry, and the ministry at times will send us a form to say, okay, this person you can pay. So then only upon those instructions we do, but otherwise we stick to every identity document, that the acceptable identity document in Namibia, you know, is your ID, your driver's license,
or your birth certificate,
yes, all those ones. We stick to those ones. If we can't identify you, at times it brings a bit of frustration, but we need to refer you to the ministry so that the ministry can give us that instruction to say, okay, this person we know they're on our data, on our database. And the other thing is, the beauty is this is the payment is a biometric process, because during registration we capture your biometrics. So that is also that's what you know, Eleni, when somebody was saying digital identification, I couldn't understand.
What
but
are
your
we talking
biometric
about?
Or your eyes, all those things, it's identification as well.
Yes. Because like while you were speaking, I was trying to just figure out something here. Think of, hypothetically speaking, it's an elderly person who can't probably write, or they need to sign, and now they probably don't even know how to sign, because we have such a community. So biometric comes in handy so that they can just be assisted in that manner, as opposed to really forcing these old folk who can't.
Elena, I challenge you one day, just go to one of our, during this payment period. It's very humbling. You find an old person there, all the 10 fingers are not working. We go so far to take the toes, So it's really very humbling, but it's really to ensure that this is Kuku Selma that we are paying, yeah, so that not then we pay Kuku Selma to Kuku Hileni, and then it becomes so we really want to make sure that the person who's collecting the grant is a rightful beneficiary for that grant.
Right.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Mr. Jacobs, for that information.
Yes.
Right. Now, Namibia, if you are just tuning in, you are tuned into an information sharing session under the flagship of the Public Enterprises. And I am your host for this morning. We are talking social grants and pensioner payouts. And you too can be part of this conversation by following the discussion on our social media platforms, where we are currently streaming this show live. On Facebook, we are at the Government Information Center, the GIC Namibia, or alternatively, you can also stream us live on our YouTube channel, and we are at the Government Information Center, Namibia, the GIC, right? And of course, I'm keen to hear from you as to what contribution you would have for this morning's session, right? I'm sure in our families we all have the elderlies, if not the big income grinders, it's called the big, right? So you too can be part of this discussion. I'm keen to hear from you. Make or post your contributions in our comment sections on both the platforms that we are currently streaming this show live. Now, as we continue with our discussion in the studio, Mr. Jacobs, I'd like to find out beyond safety and logistics that we've mentioned, but we understand that this transition, the transition from the previous administration to where we are now with NAMPOST, is not only about distributing cash, right? But it's also about strengthening financial systems. NAMPOST has introduced or is introducing new financial solutions alongside the grant payments. Could you briefly elaborate on the digital grant account and how this is going to benefit the beneficiaries in the long term?
Okay, thank you. That's actually a good development for the country, because as you rightly say, phase one was just to onboard,
right?
To onboard the beneficiary onto the NAMPOS ecosystem. They are now there, and as per the ministry mandate, then there's phase two is financial inclusion.
Right.
Okay. So it's bringing, because remember most of these people are unbanked. They are the unbanked.
Right.
You know? So it's like where you have to say, Helen, is to dignify the unbanked. So
right.
that's where the grant account is coming in. But the grant account is not a standalone account. This grant account is what we call IPP ready, is instant payment program or instant payment system of the Bank of Namibia. So right. Bank of Namibia, I mean, maybe to further the discussion, you must invite Bank of Namibia.
Absolutely, we look forward to that.
So Bank of Namibia has this system, what they call instant payment system. It's an ecosystem that allows a government to disperse, they call it G2P, government to people, the payment in terms of transfers, or business to people. So it's a whole financial inclusion ecosystem, right. where with this grant account, the beneficiary can transact to any financial provider that is going to participate within the IPP ecosystem of right. Bank of Namibia. So they can do cash in, cash out, you know. I mean, if the Pick and Pay of this world, you know, they have also financial service. They are at times also a financial service provider. If they participate, you know, so it's opening up new opportunity for the unbanked right. to be able to. First of all, the grant account is a store of value. Okay. And then from that store of value, you can either, you know, send the money to any other person who has that. Is P2P, person to person, or government to person, or business to person. So is that whole ecosystem. That's the window that, if I have to put it that way, the window of opportunity in terms of financial inclusion that the grant account is opening.
All right.
Yes.
All right. No, thank you so much.
But on top of that, I must also sell my organization.
Yes,
so
absolutely.
on top of that, NAMPOS also offer, affordable financial services, which is our insurance, the funeral covers, all this. So that will also open up for the not only to do also not only for funeral, but also savings for you to also be able to not for the beneficiary not to spend all the money, but to save, because NAMPOS at the moment we are developing those products to be enable the beneficiary to save for end of the year, most what are the needs at the end of the year. So those are all the opportunities that the cash grant account will be opening up for the beneficiaries.
All right. Let me just ensure that I understand and that we are on the same page,
Yes.
right? So what we are saying is that NAMPOS is now not only posting as a facilitator for paying out pension grants as well as the big grants and all the grants that the government is actually paying out to the nation. But you now also have you are at liberty to bank with NAMPOS,
Yes.
so that you save your money there,
Yes.
and not necessarily just get your money and take it elsewhere.
Sure.
All
Because your cash grant account is a store of value. It stores your money. So yes, so your money is stored. That you can decide. Do you send the money to somebody else? Do you withdraw the money? Do you pay it into that account? That's up to the beneficiary. But most importantly, is really financial inclusion, to bring them into the mainstream of banking and financial services. That's the window that NAMPOS is opening up, and that's true. Speaks truly to what the ministry wants to achieve in the Bank of Namibia in terms of to include everybody in this into the Namibian financial ecosystem.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, sticking on to the accounts, right? What do I need as a pensioner or as somebody who receives a grant with NAMPOS? What documents do I need to open this account? You've mentioned the store or account. What documents do I need to bring to be able to open that?
The beauty with this, Eleni, obviously there is a separate law in as far as KYC is concerned, anti-money laundering is concerned.
Know your clients.
Yeah, there is certain requirements that in terms of onboarding.
Right.
But the beauty is that we have already the information of our beneficiaries, in terms of their identity, in terms of their biometric. So what we are busy with is to make the onboarding process as seamless as possible. Because with AML or KYC, the most important thing, you must be able to identify the beneficiary. But we have all those information. So what we are trying to do from our end, and I mean we are at the advanced stage, is to the onboarding onto the cash grant account, for that process to be seamless.
All right.
Yes.
Now, for viewers and listeners that are tuned in, Mr. Jacobs here mentioned AML. That is just the anti-money laundering, and the KYC is know your client, right?
Yes.
Just in an event you're wondering what those terms are. Right. We are learning. This is honestly very informative, and I know that a lot of people are tuned in and they are taking away so much from this conversation.
And it also bring in the aspect of financial literacy. Can you imagine the unbanked becoming now financial literate?
Absolutely.
In terms of how do I spend my money, that I don't have to spend all my money at once. So that's all the advantages that opening up or bringing all these unbanked into the financial ecosystem of the country. That's the advantage that is bringing.
Right. Now, Mr. Jacobs, as much as this is such a commendable, process that has happened already and the implementation is now underway, and of course we are saying that it's a learning curve and everything. Talk to us about some of the challenges that you've encountered in the, the transitioning from where we used to be to where we are right now, or from taking over.
Yeah, I think in all fairness to NAMPOS, it's that yes, the taking over. I mean, we had to step in when the other service provider said no, because there was a window period for NAMPOS to prepare itself. But then government say, "Are you ready?" And we say, "Yeah, we'll try our best." I mean, if the principal calls, you answer.
Yes.
The nation calls, you answer. Yes. So we and we also we were cognizant of the fact that the beneficiaries are unsure. Is this thing going to work? How does it work? So we had overruns on our branches. I mean, I was myself during that period in Rundu. I mean, we had overruns on our branches. Our branches were just overwhelmed because the beneficiaries didn't understand that NAMPOS also have mobile teams.
Right.
So that's our branch capacity was just not there. So we had to appoint. I mean, with this process, we appointed graduates, young people over 54 across the country, and so that they can to capacitate the branches. And as I said, we were almost 130 branches. We are now at 150, and we are partnering with community businessmen and women. I mean, you might. I don't know whether you have heard of a place called Kachina Kachi. I understand the Prime Minister is one.
Yes.
We partner with a business person there. I mean, if you Amber Boer is somewhere there in the south, Schlep, all these Groot Oop, all these unknown places. I mean, we partnered. Those are what we call NAMPOS money market services, where we partner with a business person, and then they offer our services on our behalf. So we had to capacitate our branches. There was an overrun. We had to open up new branches because as I said, we moved from 130 to 50. And the other thing was education, and I must really thank our comms team. Inculcating the program to say, people, we can't pay you all at once at the same time. There is this program, and also to inform our beneficiary that if you are far off, don't worry. If these are the pay points, they are government pay points, our cars will be coming. So it took a bit of time. So it's September, October. You can imagine November, then January came. January was a bit, it was not very comfortable. But February, we found a recipe that we are going to test again in March. And I believe that we are there, that the beneficiary are listening and they are adhering to the program. So if you ask me, Benny, do you have capacity as NAMPOS? I would say yes. By all means, we have. I mean, as I said, our hybrid model is working. The beneficiaries must just adhere to our program. Then we are good to go. And the good thing is, after our branch program is almost 7 days, which we are trying to shorten, but not now. But it's 7 days. So after 7 days, if the beneficiary didn't collect, they have another 2 weeks, because we normally close the cycle for reconciliation, and so like 5 days before month end. So after 7 days, you have another 2 weeks to come. So you are not rushed. You are not. If you don't make it during the official program, after the official program, you can come at any time. If you are nearby a post office and you miss the mobile team, you can always come to a post office during that window period.
All right. Yeah. And by branch day, you mean that there is that allocated time for that pay point, right?
Yeah.
So if they miss out, if the beneficiaries miss out, or maybe they were away, so they can still then, have time to follow up.
Yes, they can either go to the nearest pay point, or they can go to a nearest post office. They can, and the beauty also with the ministry is that the beneficiary have a window period of 3 months to collect their funds. The funds is only you will return if the beneficiary because maybe the person have passed on, and so for the ministry, it's how the ministry medicate that risk. But so either when you miss a pay point, you can go to the nearest pay point, or to a non-post branch, because you are still in the same ecosystem.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, previously, I don't necessarily want to impose this on non-post, but I'd like to hear your views on it. In the past, you know, some people would have needs, some beneficiaries would have needs, and to that effect, I think the previous administration would move from village to village or from whatever constituency and so on. So say, for example, now, this is somebody who is based in Okangudi, and they would want, you did mention earlier that it's within a radius of 5 kilometers away from Nampost. Now, they live in Okangudi, and maybe that grant is only brought there, let's say, around about the 15th, and they have needs and they want to collect the money earlier. So are we saying that you can only collect this money post when you are supposed to collect it and not earlier prior to when it's your branch day?
Okay, Helene, is something that we don't want to encourage, because what we saw is that beneficiary from far off pay points, they run to the nearest branch.
Right.
Because of that need. And that brings a bit of it brings a bit of pressure on the branch.
And too much overflow.
Yes, it brings a bit of pressure on the branch. So it's something that we don't want to encourage.
Right.
Yeah, so people must wait. We
For
will come.
10.
Yeah, we will come. They must wait. But let's say you are from Kankudi, you find yourself in Oshakati, and you are elderly, and the elderly branch program is open. Nothing. We don't even look at where are you from,
right?
At which pay point. So you are not restricted per pay point. But all that we are saying is that we are urging and really most humbly beseeching our beneficiaries is that we will come. Don't rush to the towns, because now a person travels 200 kilometers to the nearest post office. They pay a 200 Namibian dollars. Going back is another 200. It's a 400 Namibian. Lost already. So what we are saying is that we don't encourage that. We don't. Beneficiaries, yes, if there is a need, it's human nature. So I don't want to go into detail.
But we are not encouraging.
We are not encouraging that, yes.
All right. Thank you so much for clarifying that, Mr. Jacobs. Now, of course, communications is key. And I am so proud of the way you are commending your comms team for the wonderful job that they have done, right, in creating awareness regarding this. But especially because you are dealing with this, your biggest stakeholders are the elderly, right? And vulnerable groups. How is Nampost communicating with the public to ensure that everyone is aware of the in-branch and mobile program? Earlier on, you've mentioned that you go to the different indigenous radio stations.
Because NBC is our biggest partner,
right?
And we are on every of their radio stations. So they are, the Keisames, the Rukwangari, all these
Kati
new names,
yes,
and we also go to private radio stations, the Mulungas, all those. So because I would say 99.9% of beneficiaries listen to the radio, and they experience taught them that the message comes through the radio. But the other dynamic that we are seeing, as I say, and I'm commending the young people. The other dynamic that we are seeing, the young people also keep our social platforms. They keep an eye on our social platforms, and then they relay the message to their elderly. So, and that is good. It's working. So the message is getting to the beneficiary through the radio, and we also for platforms like this, so that the nation at large, our principals, our stakeholders can understand what we are doing. And maybe I know it's in-house, but if one have to tell, maybe one thing that our comms team is working on very hard is to tell the positive stories, because most of the time when you hear about social pensions, or it's only when there is somebody negative in the queue, there is. But what this is that the experience is teaching us as well. In quiet times when things are going well, let's tell the positive stories as well. And that's something that our comms team is working hard at. And as they say, no good news is
No news.
No news is good news. So when it's quiet, then you know things are going well. But that time the comms team must also not be quiet. They must tell the positive stories. Yeah, because I went around with the people from the ministry. I think it was last week. They just wanted to check our branches, and you know they were quite satisfied. I mean, every branch we have a poster that indicates the next payment dates, the program, and so for now I think, Helene, we have the recipe. We must just fine tune it. We must just perfect it. Yeah, I mean it's we are human beings.
Absolutely.
Things are not perfect. I mean, queues will be there whether we like it or not. I mean, queues will be there, but we must, as I said, we ensure that the system is pumping. People must get out. Then you don't have problems that I need ablation facilities. No. Then you know you clear the queue. For us, it's really to clear the queues for people not to stand too long in the queues.
All right. No, thank you so much, Mr. Jacobs, for giving us that overview. Indeed, there was an outcry from the public about the ablution facilities and whatnot, but you've just now...
Yeah. I mean, also with shading, I mean, obviously, shading, we identified places. I mean, the comms team will be communicating. We provided those places with industrial gazebos, for shading. So we try our best, but Helene, you know, as if I have to be an economist, they say needs are unlimited, but resources are always limited.
Right.
So you won't meet every need, and we
Not at once.
Not at once.
Right.
Yeah, as I say, as we progress, we will improve. Where there is really a need, and it's it's really a pertinent need, we will see what we can do. And we must also remember these services don't come for free, neither for us or for government.
Right.
There are costs involved. So there are financial implications to these things, and people must really bear with us and understand that yes, as a public enterprise, for good reasons, the expectation is very high. Because this is a government entity. The expectation is very high, and we are cognizant of that, and we are trying by all means to meet those expectations,
right,
where it's affordable and where we can, where our resources are in a position, or where our resources can help us to meet those needs.
All right. And we've mentioned right from the start that it's a working curve. You are, is it 4 months into this?
Yes.
5? For now?
Yeah,
right.
4, yeah.
Still brand new, if you ask me. Of course, but this customer service charter says what? So this is exactly why you are working on minimizing the time that is spent there at the pay points, and you've made provision for shaded nets so that your customers are at least catered for while waiting for their grants.
Elena, I always say, and I always say in the boardrooms, I can put my head on the block. If a beneficiary tells me that since NAMPO started paying out the social grant, they haven't been paid.
Right.
And it's because of NAMPO's fault. I can put my head on the block on that one.
All right.
Okay. That you won't find such a beneficiary. No, unless there is some paper problems and so, but not in terms of the accessibility and the service delivery.
Right.
Not in terms of those two elements.
Okay. Thank you so much. Now, of course, this transition, like we said, is clearly a collaborative effort, right? Yes. It's not a one-man show. What role is the Ministry of Finance playing in this transition? And how is NAMPOS working with them to ensure that the project success, comes to surface?
Okay, the Ministry of Finance is the principal.
Right.
It's a principal, and we are the agent. But how we manage this, we have a monthly steering committee meeting. I think this month is scheduled for Thursday. So we meet every month. We review the program. We review the process. So we meet on a monthly basis. But over and above that, the ministry and ourselves, we have an outreach program starting next week, where we are going to certain regions to meet the political leadership, to meet the traditional leadership and community leaders, just to engage, because this thing is, engagement is very important on an ongoing basis. Right. So that's how we collaborate. So it's the ministry and ourselves, we collaborate. We have programs in terms of engagement programs, but most importantly to rope in the various community stakeholders. But yeah, we have a steering committee that meets on a monthly basis.
Right. Thank you. We appreciate that there are measures in place actually to ensure that collaborative efforts are indeed cemented, and it's for the betterment of this whole process.
Sure.
Right. Mr. Jacobs, we are slowly coming to the end of our discussion. If not, I have one more question for you before I can let you go. Now, I just wanted to find out from you, what messages or what message would you like to share directly with the beneficiaries who may still feel uncertain about this process, or at least perhaps may be anxious about this transition? What do you have to tell them to ensure that their needs are actually catered for?
No, I must say, I must tell the beneficiaries that NAMPOS is capable and we have the resources to make this work. I think that's why the government is confident. Yes, at the beginning it was difficult, but we are getting there. So beneficiaries must just stick to our program. The ones outside town, wait for your mobile team to arrive.
Right.
Should you find yourself in town and there is a post office, by all means you can visit, but you need not to travel 100, 200 kilometers. We will come. The program, the in-branch program, as I said, is 7 days, but it's open for another 2 weeks. So it's actually a 3-week cycle. The mobile team is actually a whole month. It starts from the beginning of the month up to 5 days before the end of the month. And once again, Helene, the pay points are chosen or identified by government with their constituency councillors, and so all these things. So this is not NAMPOS that decides. So and most of those weapons are apart from the ones that are around at post office, but the others in the rural areas, those pay points still exist. And we are visiting them, so they must just listen to the radio and just stick to the program. And as I said, at the post offices, yes, every post office has its own limitation. That's why we have a structured program, and everybody at the end of the day will be paid.
Right.
As I said, Helene, I put my head on the block. If it is accessibility and service delivery. And the person say, because of accessibility and service, I was not paid since NAMPO started, I can put my head on the block. That's how confident we are.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Mr. Jacobs. Your insights today will certainly help reassure the beneficiaries who perhaps had doubts or weren't so certain about the transition that NAMPOS has taken over their grants. Let me pause here to just appreciate you speaking to us this morning, talking to us, clearing the air about a few of the uncertainties that have surfaced pertaining to this grant payout, and to appreciate the work that you and your team are doing to ensure that these beneficiaries are actually paid and that the process continue unhindered. Thank you so much for making time to come and speak to us.
Let me also thank you so much, and especially the Government Information Center. This is really a great platform. Should you pick up something on your socials with regard to our conversation today, and you think it's pertinent and somebody needs clarification, do not mind to reach out to our comms team, and we are so open with communication, and we'll address the matter should that matter really need attention right now.
Right.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Jacobs. Now, Namibia, we've come to the end of our brief discussion, brief but quite insightful. As earlier mentioned, we were talking the grant payout by NAMPOS Limited, and I was joined in the studio by Mr. Benny Jacobs. He's the executive for Retail Channel, and he just cleared so much, rumors that were actually circulating and ascertain us that the process is working. It's a work in progress. We need to extend grace to each other, and it's getting well, right? And he made a promise. The customer service charter clearly says that, and him and his institution are working towards delivering that promise. Thank you so much for tuning in. Please stay tuned. We have another episode coming up shortly. From myself, Heleni. Just please hold on for us.